In our last video, we focused on solving quadratic equations using the factorization method. In this video, we are going to solve quadratic equation using the formula method. My name is Joseph Jacob. You are watching Mathematics Simplified. In solving quadratic equation using the formula method, the first step is to understand the formula. The formula is not too difficult, it can be mastered. As you can see on our whiteboard, the formula is minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, why do we have plus and minus at the same time here? Remember, the problems were solved using the factorization method. Each question used to have two answers. So, the plus and the minus enables us to have two answers as well when we use the formula method. How so? At some point, we will use the plus to get one of the answers, and later we will use the minus to get the second answer. So, this will help us to have two answers. In this formula, you will notice that we have 4, we have 2. These numbers are constants. So the unknown we don't have, or we don't know what they are until we see the problem, is A, B, and C. Now, when we are given a quadratic equation, how do we know the value of A, the value of B, the value of C, which we are going to use to solve the problem? Well, let's look at this example we have here, our first example. X squared minus 6x minus 16 equal to 0. This is a typical example. Now, if you look at this problem, the left-hand side of the equation, I mean from x squared to 16, you will notice that there are three parts. We have the x squared, we have the 6x, we have the 16. These three parts are divided by a plus or minus sign. In this case, we have two minus signs to separate these three parts. Now, the coefficient of the x squared, or whatever that is squared, the coefficient of this first one is the a. In this problem, the coefficient of x squared is 1. That is why there is no number written in front of it. Like we've said in the past problems we've solved, we come to the understanding that the coefficient of a letter, when it is 1, the letter is written alone. So for us to have x squared means that it's 1x squared. So the a in this equation, in this formula, the a in this formula, I beg your pardon, will be 1 if you are trying to solve this problem. Now, what of the b? The b is the coefficient of x. And the coefficient of x in this problem is minus 6. So b in this equation will be substituted with minus 6. Now, our next point is c. Minus 16 is our c. That number in the equation that has no letter attached to it is always the c. So now that we have seen our a, our b, and our c, all we need to do is to start substituting their values into the equation. Let's start. From the equation, we already have minus. So we write down our minus. The next thing is b, and we have seen that b is minus 6. So I open my bracket and write minus 6. I use the bracket to help me not misunderstand the minus already from the equation and the minus my b is coming with. Now the next thing we have is plus and minus. Then we open the square root. Inside the square root we have b squared, that is minus 6 squared. So I open my brackets and put my minus 6 inside. Minus 6 squared. I go to my formula. The next thing is minus. I write my minus. I have my 4 constant. A, like we said earlier, is 1. And C is a minus 16. So we've done with the upper part of the equation. Now we now come down all over 2a, where 2 and a is 1. So we've successfully substituted the values we have in our question with what we have in the formula. So it's a bit very simple now to solve. So let's progress with the solution. This minus, multiply this minus will turn to plus. So 6 is now free. 6 has no minus sign anymore. Now we come back to our plus and minus. We open our square root. Minus 6 squared simply means minus 6 times minus 6. When you have something like minus 6 times minus 6, the minus will multiply the minus, it becomes plus. So 6 times 6 becomes 36. So instead of having minus 36, we'll have positive 36. Now we have minus 4 times 1 will give us minus 4. Minus 4 times minus 16. The minus times the minus will turn here to positive. It becomes plus. Now let's multiply 4 with a 16. We have 4 times 6 will give us 24. We write 4, carry 2. 4 times 1 will give us 4 plus 2, 6. So we have minus 4 times minus 16 will give us plus 64. All over 2 times 1 will give us 2. So we are progressing gradually. I hope you are following. Now let's try to remove the square root. For us to do that, we come down and have 6 plus minus square root 36 plus 64. 6 plus 4 will give us 10. 0 carry 1. 3 plus 6 will give us 9 plus 1, 10. So we have 100. Now, what is a square root? A square root of 100, as we have now, is that number that when you multiply it with itself, it will give you 100. What is that number that when we multiply the number with itself, it will give us 100? So the number will be 10. 10 times 10 will give us 100. So it means that the square root of 100 is 10. So since the square root of 100 is 10, what we'll now have is 6 plus minus 10, the square root is gone, all over 2. So remember why we have this plus and minus. Let's now apply it. In the first part, we may have 6 plus 10. We are using the plus first, all over 2. And for the second answer, we'll have 6 minus 10 all over 2. So 6 plus 10 will give us 16 over 2, which is equal to 8. 6 minus 10, remember the smaller number is minusing the bigger number, so the answer will be negative. To give us minus 4 all over 2. So when 2 divides minus 4, it will give us minus 2. So in this first equation we solved using the formula method, our x is equal to 8 or minus 2. Very, very simple, isn't it? Our second problem is x squared minus 4x minus 5 equal to 0. We'll do exactly the same thing we did in the first one. X squared simply means that the coefficient of x squared is 1. And so a is 1 in this problem. We also have minus 4x. So the coefficient of x is minus 4, which is the b. We also have minus 5, which is the c. So having gotten all we need for this problem, the next thing is simply to solve it. So in solving, we'll start as the equation is stated. Now we have minus b. Our b here is minus 4. So we place our minus 4 in the bracket. We state our plus and minus. We state our square root. B squared simply means minus 4 squared. We bring down our minus sign. We have 4 in our equation. We have a, which is 1. Our c is minus 5. So we place them in the brackets respectively. All over 2a is 2 into 1. Our a again is 1. So let's progress. Minus minus will becomes plus. So 4 will now stand alone. We have our 4. We write down our plus and minus. We have our square root written. Minus 4 squared means minus 4 times minus 4. And when we have minus 4 times minus 4, the minus will times the minus, becomes plus. 4 times 4 will give us 16. So the answer becomes a positive answer. Minus 4 times 1 is minus 4. Minus 4 times minus 5. The minus minus becomes plus. 4 times 5 becomes 20. All over 2a, or 2 times 1, which is 2. Now, we have to add what we have here. Bring down our 4, plus minus the square root of 16 plus 20. 6 plus 0 is 6. 1 plus 2 is 3. We have 36 all over 2. So we are looking for that number that when we multiply it with itself, it will give us 36. That is the square root of 36. And that number is 6. 6 times 6 will give us 36. So the square root of 36 is 6 all over 2. So at this point, we can split our answers into 2 so that we'll get those 2 answers. We take the first one, 4 plus 6 all over 2. The second one is 4 minus 6 all over 2. I hope you know where we are getting the plus and minus from. We have plus and minus here. So when we take the first one, which is plus, we have 4 plus 6 over 2. That is what we wrote out there. Then we have 4 minus 6 over 2. That is the second one. So when 4 plus 6, it will give us 10 over 2. 2 into 10 will give us 5. So our first answer is 5. Then we'll have 4 minus 6. The smaller number is minusing a bigger number. So it will be a negative number, minus 2 all over 2. 2 into 2 will give us minus 1. So in this problem, our answer becomes x equal to 5 or minus 1. Very, very simple, isn't it? Here we go again with another problem. This time we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 14. Did you notice the difference in this problem from the other ones we've been solving? The other ones we've been solving, the coefficient of x squared has always been 1. But in this problem, the coefficient of x squared is now 2. So a is 2. We have b to be the coefficient of x, which is minus 3. And we have c to be the last number without any figure, any letter attached to it, which is minus 14. So all we need to do is to start fixing these figures on the formula. So we start from where we used to start. Minus b is minus 3. Minus 3. We bring down our plus and minus. We have our square roots. B squared, that is minus 3 squared, minus, we have our 4, our A in this case is 2, we have our 2, our C is minus 14, we have our minus 14, all over 2A, our A is 2, so we have 2 into 2. So we proceed further. Minus times minus will give us 3. We have our plus and our minus. We have our square roots. Minus 3 times minus 3, that is minus 3 squared, that's what it means. Minus times minus becomes plus, so 3 times 3 will give us 9 minus. So minus 4 times 2 at this point will give us minus 8. Let me write it up here so that we don't make a mistake and forget. So what we have now is minus 8 times minus 14. That is why this will become plus. Minus times minus times minus. This becomes plus. So 8 times 2, 8 times 4 is 32. 2 carry 3. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 3 is 11. So we have 112 all over 2 times 2 will give you 4. So this is what we'll have as it is now. We progress 3. We have plus minus the roots of 9 plus 112. 9 plus 2 will give us 1. Carry 1, add it to this one, it becomes 2 plus this one. So 9 plus 112 will give us 121 all over 4. So what is that number that when you multiply it with itself, it will give us 121? That number is simply 11. That number is 11. So we'll have 3 plus minus 11 all over 4. So that the first one will now be 3 plus 11 all over 4. 3 plus 11 will give us 14 all over 4, which we can still reduce to a lesser number. 2 into 4 will give us 2. 2 into 14 will give us 7. So we can reduce this to 7 over 2. We go for the second one. 3 minus 11 all over 4. 3 minus 11, the smaller number is minusing a bigger number, which will then give us 3 minus 11 will give us minus 8. Minus 8 over 4. 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 8 is 4. We still have our minus. Is this the least we can go? No. 2 into 2 again will give us 1. 2 into 4 will give us 2. So 2 over 1 is still 2. So we now have minus 2. So our final answer in this problem becomes x equal to 7 over 2 or minus 2 as our final answer. Okay, this is our fourth problem. I hope you've been following the ones we are solving so far. You will have to solve the last problem. But now, let's look at this fourth problem. 2x squared minus 7x plus 3 equal to 0. Just like the previous one we solved, our coefficient, our x squared coefficient is 2, which is our A. Our x coefficient is minus 7, which is our B. And the last number without any letter attached to it is 3, which is our C. So we just need to substitute these figures in the formula. We have our minus, we have our B is minus 7, we bring down our plus and minus, we open our square root, our B squared is minus 7 squared, we bring down our minus, we have our 4, our A is 2, and our C is plus 3, is 3, all over 2 into A, what is 2A? Our A is 2, is 2, 2. Now, we progress. Minus minus is plus, which will now give us 7. 7 plus minus, we open our square roots. Minus 7 times minus 7 becomes plus. Minus times minus becomes plus. 7 times 7 will give us 49. Minus 4 times 2 will give us minus 8. Minus 8 times 3 will give us minus 24. Minus 24 all over 2 times 2 is 4. I hope you are following. Now let's go. We have our 7. We write down our plus and minus. We have our square root. 49 minus 24. 9 minus 4 will give you 5. 4 minus 2 will give you 2. So it's 25 all over 4. What are those two numbers that when we multiply it by itself, it will give us 25? So it's 5. 5 times 5 is 25, isn't it? So we now have our 7 plus minus 5 over 4. So for the first one, we'll have 7 plus 5 all over 4. For the second one, we'll have 7 minus 5 all over 4. So for this, we'll have 7 plus 5 is equal to 12 over 4, which we can reduce to 4 into 4 is 1, 4 into 12 is 3. This is equal to 3. 7 minus 5 is 2 over 4. 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 2 is 1. So we have 1 over 2. So in this equation, our x is equal to, first one is 3 or 1 over 2. That is the final answer. This is the next problem. We have 5x squared minus 7x equal to 6. Well, before you start solving, you might be asking me, the ones we've been solving is equal to 0. The value of our c is also on the left hand side. But in this case, the value of the c is at the right hand side. It's not a big deal. All you need to do is to do 5x squared minus 7x. You bring the 6 over. Remember, this 6 is a positive 6. When it crosses the equality sign, it becomes minus 6 equal to 0. So you've succeeded in returning the question as the ones who have been solving in the past. Okay, so I'm sure you can solve it now that I've returned the question as it used to be. Now, let me give you the answer you will get. When you solve correctly, the answers you will get will be equal to 2, that is x will at some point be equal to 2, or it will also be equal to minus 3 over 5. If you got the answer, just let me know in the comment section. If you have problem solving it, also feel free to let me know. This is where the cookies crumble on today's video. I hope you can now solve quadratic equations using the formula method. Thanks for watching. Our next video will focus on fractions. Bye-bye.